So last thing wanted to touch on is the draft, right? So we're approaching the end of the regular season or the NFL playoffs here, getting into draft season. Senior Bowl next week, y'all tune into that. Patrick Graham, by the way, is coaching one of the teams there, so he'll have first really a first look at some big players that are going to be there that are definitely going to be in the draft. So what I wanted to do now that at least for now, barring any trades, right? We have the number 7 overall pick, and the media, scouting, NFL like draft scouts and different folks are starting to release their mock drafts. So we're finally into mock draft season. We did one last week, so we kind of beat everyone to the punch there. But just wanted to look at number 7 overall. It's a big, obviously, top 10 pick. We have a lot of needs. I think this is a good draft. I don't know if it's a great one. I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks. I think it's kind of like there's the edge class is very good. I think the corner class is really good. The tackle class is a little top heavy. At number 7, I think it's fascinating. I would say for me, right, the position of needs at that pick is offensive tackle, edge, corner. And I've never been a big fan of corner that early, but I think you could make an argument with Sauce Gardner, at 4, I believe, to the Jets, playing at that level. And then, just with the difference that he made on the Jets. And I think usually you look at corners, like there's a lot of depth there. Usually you can find good players and starters, but I think corner is a very realistic option at number 7, and it's a very loaded class. So tackle, edge, corner, right? That's just my thoughts. Do you agree, disagree, any other positions? I'm not going quarterback there. I'm not even going to include it. We'll let this get away from us.
Interesting. Yeah, I would agree with that. Were you ranking them 1 through 3?
I wasn't ranking them. Sorry,
Okay.
I was just saying those are the 3 needs.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just saying I don't know how much I'd rank edge at that spot, but maybe defensive line. But still, this whole Chandler Jones thing, like if we get somebody that's Raiders aren't going to be dummies if fucking Will Anderson is sitting there at 7. They're not going to take Paris Johnson, offensive tackle.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, who would do that?
Yeah. Only idiots would do that.
Yeah, no, and I think I have edge up there because, I mean, let's face it, Crosby is a one-man crew right now, right? I think the interior defensive line, it would help if we got a stud there. That would help Crosby, right? But I do think Chandler Jones, he might retire. Honestly, he's old, and he left. He ended the season with an injury. Like I think, and he was even contemplating retirement prior to joining the Raiders. So I think that's a real possibility. And let's just say he does stay for another year or two. Got to have someone that's in the mix that is going to be able to complement Crosby as well. So I think edge or defensive interior line at that, as long as the prospect, obviously is graded that high. I think there's 2 defensive or interior defensive linemen that are of value of a top 7 pick. But and I think you look at offensive tackle, obviously someone to complement Colton Miller, be that booking on the right side, and then I look at corner. We need all the help we can get. Who are our best corners? Nate Hobbs, he's kind of a safety. He's like a slot corner, which I think is very valuable. You look at Rocky Sin, who's a pending free agent. Anthony Averett wasn't great, right? Sam Webb played better. Logan Hall is that his name? Logan Hall. Jake Paul. Logan Hall.
Yeah. Amik Robertson seemed like he did better.
He
played more in the slot than anything on the outside a lot of times.
There's just not a lot of certainty in that secondary. We need help for years, and think of the conference that we're in with the Chiefs, Chargers. Who knows if someone can fix Russell Wilson? I don't know, but I think corner is a critical need. It is a very good class. I think it's a deep class and top heavy, if that makes sense. I think there's 2 or 3 guys that could be that lockdown corner, and then everyone else can be very good starters. And we'll get into that when we get into the rankings and whatnot. But yeah, just look at those, and then I'm just taking a look at a few different draft analysts that have already done their mocks, right? So Daniel Jeremiah, someone I admire his work. Peter Skoronski is who we had going to the Raiders at 7, offensive tackle from Northwestern, and then Bucky Brooks had also NFL Network. He had your guy, Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle from Ohio State. I've seen also mocks of us taking a corner, and one of them that I'm not going to play my cards too soon, but that I really like is Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Don't see a lot of prospects coming out of Illinois, right? But I think he is a
Nate Hobbs. Nate
Nate
Hobbs
Hobbs,
came out
right?
with
Yeah.
his
Oh,
running mate. Have his
that's
running mate on the other side.
that's exactly my point. That's why I said that, even though I totally forgot that he went to Illinois. But so I've seen a corner there with whether it's him or Joey Porter Jr. From Penn State, who I'm very high on as well. In the tackle. But just what are your thoughts as far as that number 7 pick? Obviously, it's a critical one. We need help on either one trench or the other, or some secondary help. But like, what are your thoughts going into it as far as any players that come to mind that haven't been mentioned?
I think one issue that I had with, and it's interesting you said what you said about not taking a quarterback there. Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft had us skipping CJ Stroud. He had CJ Stroud going to, in his mock draft, he had Atlanta trading for Lamar Jackson, I believe it was, and then the Ravens taking CJ Stroud there. I have a hard time passing up on him if he's there. I realize that we could use top tier talent like that elsewhere, but if CJ Stroud is there, I would be a little upset if they didn't go that route. I know you said Will Levis get out of here, and I would agree with that.
I watched enough Will Levis. Obviously I'm very opinionated on quarterbacks, and I've been very wrong. But the story hasn't been written on Zach Wilson yet. Okay, guys, just give me a break. Well, let me ask you this question then. You're McDaniels and Ziegler, and Mark Davis walks in your office with his weird haircut, and he's like, "Hey guys, last year sucked. Okay, obviously we want better performance, but you're not coaching for your jobs, or right? This isn't the end of it." Do you believe him? Not to say Mark Davis is a liar, but do you believe that this is not like, hey, if they post another 6-11, that they're going to be let go? McDaniel's fired, Ziegler's fired.
Yeah, I don't think they get fired. I don't think they get fired at all. I'll be honest with you. I think they go 2-15 next year. It's like, okay, we're there for Caleb Williams, draft him, and let's trust this process. I mean, that's a little different. That bad of a year might be a little different. But I just think that like Ziegler, McDaniels have a plan. I think Mark Davis likes them and likes the fact that they have a plan. I have a hard time thinking he doesn't at least give them 3 years to make things look better. And our team looked better this year. We just a lot of bad breaks that didn't go our way that they went the year before. So yes, a huge step backwards into a very terrible season like that.
Sure.
But my point being is I would bet, probably not my mortgage because my wife wouldn't let me, but I would bet a decent amount of money that no matter what happens, they're here for 2024. Like,
okay. And I agree with you. Right?
I think he's behind. I think Mark Davis is behind them 100% through thick and thin, barring any racist and homophobic emails coming out.
I mean, I think, unless it's like a 2-15 year, I don't think they get let go. Right now, let's talk about the personnel on the team. Right, we got windows of opportunity here with Adams. Crosby's a little bit younger, right? Waller, Renfro, just like we were talking about. They got contract extensions, but they're upper 30s, or not upper 30s, sorry, upper 20s. So you kind of have this window, and you want to take a quarterback at 7. You think that, hey, this is the win now decision. I think we've seen rookie quarterbacks succeed.
I say still bring someone in, still bring Tom Brady in, draft a guy at 7 and bring someone in. I get that you're drafting a guy that high, but you need top end talent. This is the second best quarterback in Jeremiah's situation, second best quarterback in this draft. You can bring someone in and have them sit, even if you draft them that high. I know that's not a popular opinion, but like you could bring Tom Brady in for the immediate now and still have CJ Stroud sitting on the bench ready to go, letting him learn and let it ready to go either if the season starts to go in the tanks or Brady retires a year after, or whoever it is doesn't work. You know what I mean? I'm not saying draft Stroud and run it with Stidham. I think that they should sign. I just hate saying Brady, but like sign Brady. Like that seems like our off-season thing. I don't see them trading for Rodgers. That seems like if you're going to bring someone in for a win now, like that kind of is your free agent option. I know people don't like that. I know people hate the idea of that. just because of history. But I think that you can draft somebody and still bring in someone like that to still try to win now while also planning for the future.
Yeah, and I don't personally disagree with you, right? I'm saying it just is not going to happen. The only reason I said it is because free agency starts before the draft, right? You sign Brady in March, and then you're like, hey, dude, at number 7, you know how our offensive line sucks? Or you know how we can't cover anyone, or we can't get to the passer on defense? We're going to take CJ Stroud. I don't think that works. I don't think it plays that way, right? I think if you're going to go win now with Brady, you got to have some immediate impact guys for next year, and that's going to come from those top tier guys at number 7. And you're also, which is the point, can kind of fight itself. It's like, we don't expect to be picking this early next year. Then it's like, well, dude, if you're not going to be, and there's a freaking quarterback there, you're not going to get that type of quarterback at 22 or whatever you say, right? So I get the argument. I'm not completely disagreeing with you. I just don't think that from the McDaniels and Ziegler side, from the signing a win now quarterback like a Brady, that we're going to say because the holes in our offense and defense are so much more than quarterback, So I get the whole. I think CJ Stroud's great, but I just don't think it's realistic, and we'll see. I guess we'll see.
As far as the rookie quarterback situation is concerned, I mean, you agree we have to bring someone in at some point, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so does that mean, would you rather sign up for CJ Stroud at 7, and then going on, at 38 and drafting, the best offensive line or best corner that's available, or going best offensive lineman / best cornerback at 7, and then hoping that Anthony Richardson is there at 38 or Hendon Hooker in the second? Which one would you sign up for? Which one do you think, or just take a flyer for next year, see what happens next year?
I would take the best player available that's not a quarterback at 7, right? Okay. Because I don't think you should pick for need necessarily, but there's a lot of need, so you're just gonna take the best player available that fits, right? I think you take the best corner, the best tackle while you're there, and then I think you take a flyer on that. There's a Stanford quarterback, I'm forgetting his name, but he'll be there available at 38. Richardson's not going to slide that far, right? But then you even have you have the dude from Stanford, Hendon Hooker, I think there's going to be a lot of guys. I'm not saying that they're just as good as Stroud, but I don't think the gap is that different, right? I think the gap between the best tackle in the draft at 7 and 38, the guy that you can get at 38 is vast. And it also is counterintuitive to what the F you're trying to do is we're trying to recharge right now, dude, and not rebuild completely. So, and if they're going to rebuild completely, they wouldn't sign Brady. I know we're gonna have a lot more of these debates.
Yeah. Well,
I get what you're saying. I don't think that's how it's gonna play out. But I don't know much.
Yeah.
We're both we're fans that love the Raiders and have some football knowledge, and
well,
there's a lot of things that I wanted to do that just don't. Even if they did it didn't work out.
Here's what's gonna happen if CJ Stroud is on the board at 7. This is going to be a Miles Jack situation where I'm doing 27 shots of Fireball. I'm doing 27 shots of Fireball if we don't take him. So I will say, if that's the situation and he's sitting there at 7, I think there's plenty of people that would want to trade up, and I'm fine trading back.
Right. I think that's the other thing too. We're acting as if we have to take someone at 7.
Yeah, maybe Atlanta or something wants to jump 1, or Carolina.
Well, Carolina's at 9. Yeah,
they jump. So that is, I understand that. Us passing on him, I would just feel hard pressed about being okay with that. But I also have no say in everything.
They would have
to be okay with it.
Yeah, they would just have to feel really fucking good about Stroud, and also in comparison to other quarterbacks in this year's and next year's draft. You don't have full grades for the guys next year, but that's why you have those scouts the Raider scouts are scouting the quarterbacks for next year already. They're always doing that forward thinking scouting. So anyways,
yeah.
Just something I want to bring up. I'm glad we got into this debate.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a lot of more debates when we start getting the rankings out, and I cannot wait to class. I think what we're going to do is, or I would like to propose to you, my friend, is when we get into specifically quarterbacks for college, when we do the rankings, we're going to bring Dan on just because we've already had battles with him, just via text.
Yeah, our text group can get some good quarterback controversy in it.
Yeah,
I don't even
that's
know
for
about
sure.
controversy, but just talk.
No, yeah, I
Just
think
good
we just have
discussion.
opinions and takes, and I think it would be a good episode. You could just be a mediator, and I could just tell him how much better Bryce Young is than CJ Stroud, just to see his reaction, and maybe yours.